firstly ask that you please fill up the seat in front of you. We are about to commence the event. I did say earlier that we were waiting for a number of people to come in. Some of them are still on their way, but we can't keep you waiting anymore. So we want to begin, unless you're going to say we shouldn't start now, but please fill up the seat in front of you so we can begin. And so you can also have a clearer view, so the people coming after you can then fill up the seats behind, please. Thank you. Actually, if you have a seat in front of you, you're wrong. Please fill up the seat in front of you. My lady at the back, please fill up the seat in front of you. In the black jacket, please fill up the seat in front of you. Don't be shy. It's free. The seat is free. No one is holding you. No one is going to say you should get up on the seat. It's not reserved. Please fill up the seat in front of you, please. Thank you so much. Young man in red, please fill up the seat in front of you. My ladies in glasses like me, please fill up the seat in front of you, please. Actually, we're not starting because we're waiting for you. Please fill up the seat in front of you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your cooperation. I appreciate your cooperation. Thank you so much. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026. It's my pleasure to welcome you all on this rainy Tuesday morning. You braved the weather to be here today, and we're so grateful that you're here today. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and I stand before you this morning as your Master of Ceremonies. This conference, as you know, is brought to you by Business Day Media Limited with the support of our sponsors, and we've brought together an exceptional mix of policymakers and stakeholders to chart a way forward. And obviously today we are united under a shared goal, and the shared goal today is to shape actionable pathways for industrial growth and sustainable job creation. Our theme for this year, as you can see on the screen, is Manufacturing Nigeria's Future, Our Jobs, Competitiveness, and Industrial Prosperity. And it comes at a very pivotal moment in our economic journey. Our GDP has expanded in the course of the first quarter of the year for over 3.8%, and our growth, however, remains largely services-driven, with the manufacturing and industrial sectors still facing structural challenges that require our urgent and coordinated attention. So today we brought together every voice here in the room today. We'll have panels, we have keynote sessions, we have conversations that we hope will not just be dialogue, but dialogues that will take us to the next level. And we thank you all for being here this morning. Before we commence, I'd like you to please look to the person closest to you and tell them you are welcome to the Business Day Manufacturing Conference. You look good, you look lovely, you look handsome, nice jacket. Yes, I'm saying it to you, ma'am. You look very lovely, you look lovely. Every single person here, you actually look lovely. Thank you so much for being here today. Right. As we proceed in the agenda this morning, I'd like to make welcome the Deputy Editor-in-Chief here at Business Day, Dr. Innocent Una, for the opening address. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you. Please make it louder. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026, where we are seated to manufacture Nigeria's future by creating jobs, catalyzing competitiveness, and shaping the industrial prosperity of the country. Every generation of Nigerians arrives at a moment when the country must make important economic choices. This is one of those moments. With a population estimated at over 220 million people, and one of the world's youngest workforces, the urgency of creating sustainable jobs has never been greater. Across history, no major economy has achieved broad-based prosperity, technical advancement, industrial resilience without a strong manufacturing base. Manufacturing remains the bridge between economic potential and economic productivity. Today, however, Nigeria's manufacturing sector continues to operate under extraordinary pressure. According to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, unsold inventories in the sector rose sharply to about 2.14 trillion in 2024, representing an 88 year-on-year increase from 1.14 trillion in 2023. This reflects weakened consumer demand, rising production costs, inflation pressures, and declining purchasing power. Manufacturers are simultaneously contending with volatile foreign exchange conditions, energy insecurity, logistics inefficiencies, high borrowing costs, and multiple taxation. Average lending rates climbed above 25% in 2024, while inflation accelerated beyond 34%, significantly increasing operational pressures across the industrial value chain. Yet, despite these constraints, Nigerian manufacturers continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience and long-term commitment to national development. This is important because manufacturing is more than an economic sector. It is a multiplier sector. It creates jobs at scale, deepens local supply chains, stimulates innovation, expands exports, and strengthens national self-reliance. Although Nigeria remains Africa's largest economy, manufacturing contributes only about 9% to gross domestic product, far below the levels achieved by many emerging industrial economies. The Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026 is convened against this backdrop, not merely as an industry gathering, but as a strategic platform for solutions, collaboration, and implementation. This year's theme, Manufacturing Nigeria's Future, Jobs, Competitiveness, and Industrial Prosperity, reflects a clear national imperative. Nigeria cannot sustainably grow, compete globally, or absorb its expanding workforce without building stronger industrial capacity. At Business Day, we remain committed to fostering credible conversations that influence policy, strengthen enterprise, and advance economic transformation. Third, the future of Nigerian manufacturing must be built deliberately, competitively, and collaboratively. And on this note, I welcome you once again to the Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026. Put on your thinking caps and your talking mouthpiece so that we shape the future of manufacturing. Welcome once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Innocent. As much as possible, because I understand that the weather is quite cold, so as much as possible, I would like us to be very engaged. If not, we'll have to say, let's do a quick exercise. Maybe we need to get up and stretch for a bit. But as much as possible, please, let's keep the applause coming. As a matter of fact, can we please just rise up for a bit? Let's rise up and just do something, because the weather is actually cold. So we actually need to get a little bit more energy in the room. All right, now that we are, and the AC is on. Someone said the AC is, do we turn it off? We can't turn it off. So please, from your seat, could you just take a walk to someone? Just meet someone else. Tell them your name, what you do. Please, let's do that. Meet someone else away from your seat. Tell them what you do, and then come back. I see someone still standing. Yes, let's engage a bit. Meet someone. My name is Elizabeth Musa. I'm a broadcast journalist. I'm XYZ. I'm happy to partner with you. Do I need to meet you? Do I need to come meet you? Yes, please. You never know, you might be meeting with your next business partner or even your next partner. I'm just saying. All right. If you met, I see some people are actually, so I like this. Some people are actually extending the engagement. Not bad. Do we give it 10 minutes or 5 minutes? Well, thank you all for engaging. Please put your hands together for yourselves, please. Put your hands together for yourselves, please. Thank you very much. Right. I have two questions because after asking us to engage, then I think I need to now ask the house who they met, because that's also something. Then this is where we'll see the people that did not meet someone or the person that stayed on their seat. Actually, I saw everybody engaging, but I'll just ask the house to just tell me who you met and then their names. Please, if you have a mic, can we just get the mic to somebody? Does anybody just want to speak to us today? I mean, it's an open house. Tell me who you met, what they do, just like we said. Is there anyone that wants to bell the cat? Okay, I see him. Thank you so much. I like people that always volunteer at events like this because we always need one person to start, then everyone engages. Yes. So we have him. Daniel, can someone please give him a mic? Yes. Yes. The young man in the jacket, yes. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Actually, we can't hear Mohammed, but I know he met Faith. And we have a very, very good microphone, actually. So we have Mohammed. Mohammed met Faith, but I didn't hear what he does because you never know. You might need what the service.
Oh, okay. My name is Mohammed. I'm a lawyer. I met Faith. Faith is an accountant, and I'm happy to have met Faith.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mohammed. Please put your hands together for Mohammed. Do we have one more person? Okay, did I hear somebody? Is there somebody on that side? Okay, on this side. In the middle row. Okay, middle row already. We need to have somebody from that side. Actually, I'll pick someone if nobody wants to. I'm sorry. Like if it's you, just tell us your name, who you met. Okay, I think my mind is going to somebody. Can you just give it to, no, the woman in the print? Yes, yes, to your left, actually. Yes. But you can also give it to her afterward. Yes.
Okay, good morning. My
Good
name
morning.
is Folashade.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm into bag production. And I met Oyindamola. She's the brand manager.
Nice to meet you, Folashade and Oyindamola. Yes, please, then you can give it to the other lady that was already, she was ready.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Halima Shaibu. I'm the Senior Communications Consultant for BATN. And I met Oluchi from Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you and nice to have you here. There's also a woman at the back.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Barrister Anna Sharad is my name. I met a couple of persons and a guy behind. I don't believe today is going to be very informative packed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't get your name. Yes.
Barrister Anna Sharade.
Marisa.
Barrister.
Barry.
I'm a lawyer, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Anyone on this side? Maybe even our journalist, because I see the man smiling. Yes, yes, the man smiling in the front.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Abayawa. I'm a safety consultant with the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria. I met Hamzat sitting beside me. He's into AI development for companies. And I also met Adedeji, yes, from MAN. Yes, thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you, and thank you so much. Please put your hands together for yourselves, please. Thank you very much. So I have two questions, though, just before we proceed. Our theme for today is manufacturing Nigeria's future, jobs, competitiveness, and industrial prosperity. And I imagine that a number of us will already have some things, that we probably think, is our biggest hindrance, as to our manufacturing sector. Because I believe everyone here is a stakeholder. I'm a stakeholder, you're a stakeholder, because that's the reason why you're here today. So if there's anybody that just wants to sort of talk to this team as to what you think is our biggest hindrance, in the Nigerian manufacturing sector, please feel free to speak. We're going into our first panel now, but I just want to get to understand the audience here. So is there anyone that wants to speak to that? Okay, I think I already have someone. Is that okay? Right. So our theme for today is manufacturing Nigeria's future, jobs, competitiveness, and industrial prosperity. So what do you think is our biggest challenge as to our manufacturing sector? What are our biggest challenges that we're facing right now that is hindering us? Yes, there's a woman there.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Rachel. I think we have a lot of challenges. One of them is electricity. Power is the most one. Infrastructures, as in access to loans, the interest rates of the loan, then the know-how. That's the people you are going to employ. Do they know what you expertise? So there is electricity, power, expertise, infrastructure, access to loans, the interest rates, transportation of your raw materials. If you are going to import them, import duties, clearing at the ports, and then if you are getting them locally sourced, moving them from one state to the other, or if you are sourcing it, let's say you are in Lagos doing the manufacturing and you are sourcing your raw materials here in Lagos, moving them from point A to point B, access to good roads, and then even the taxation also is another hindrance. High taxes, high multiple taxation, and taxation on different tiers, as in from raw materials to company tax, income tax, your staff tax. So there's a lot of hindrance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And hopefully, thank you, please. Feel free to clap, please. That was really brilliant. I did write a number of things she said, and I'm hoping that we're able to, find a solution to some of these problems that we mentioned. She talked about electricity. We talked about access to loans, access to good roads. We also talked about tax, multiple taxes here and there. But one thing about the Business Day conference is that we don't just want it to be a talk shop. We want it to be something that we actually have actionable solutions. And that's why we have the panels that we have today. And trust me, you will really get a lot of information that would actually give us, take us to the next level. So thank you so much for that. So in absence of any other person that wants to contribute. Oh, actually, there's a woman. Oh, wow. Interesting. There's a woman to the left she has a green turban. Yes, green turban, and the man there, and the other woman here. Yeah. So let's have her first.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alera J. I'm also a lawyer. I want to say, first of all, that what the previous speakers mentioned was very insightful. But just to add two things to what she said. Inflation, I think, is one of the factors that is affecting manufacturing today, and also insecurity. I recall there was a time that tomatoes went up because they were kidnapping people en route to the southwest. So I think that's also something that is a factor that is contributing to the problems we're having.
Your name?
Alero.
Alero. Thank you so much, Alero. Please put your hands together for Alero, please. She mentioned inflation and insecurity. I see that I like that women are actually speaking this time. There's a woman in the turban now. That's the last person we take so we can know. In the green turban.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Miss Kiwa. I think that our problems start with we need a master plan with the government. We need government support. I think that the model on which we're basing our manufacturing system, I think we need to focus on the Far Eastern model. And in the past, we focused on the West, America, England, but they were able to work with what they have on a small scale and gradually grow. And then they had to the Far East, that is, they had very strong terms for even importing goods. Everything was centered around building a proper manufacturing infrastructure. We can't do this without the government. We need to have more discussions like these meetings and have a proper plan, to support manufacturing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Please, we didn't get your name.
My name is Ibiron Kegiwa, Miss Ibiron Kegiwa.
Miss Ibironke, thank you so much for that. Please put your hands together for Miss Ibironke. She'd mentioned something really important as well, which is government support. And one of the three key areas we'll be focusing on this morning will be around industrial infrastructure and energy. We'll be focusing also on finance, investment and competitiveness, and also skills, innovation, and regulation. Some of these things we'll touch on, some of the things that we've already mentioned, a number of you have mentioned here today. So it's going to be very fruitful. And just like she said, we want to make sure that there's actually an actionable plan, not just a conversation that we have and then we close our booklets today and then we keep going. We hope that we're also able to establish useful partnerships today. So on that note, that very good note, thank you all for engaging. So this is where I'd also invite for the first panel today. We should have a keynote address first, but our keynote address is being delayed because it's not here yet. I hope you bear with us. So that's why we are going to the panel session first. But trust me, nothing changes. We'll still have our keynote session, but we'll have our first panel session first. And we know that our first panelists, they're already here today and the moderator is here. So please, as I make them welcome to the stage, please make them feel very welcome with your warm round of applause, please. Thank you so much. So for our first panel today is focused on fixing the structural barriers holding Nigerian manufacturing back. And on this panel, in no particular order, I'll be making welcome our panelists today. Our first panelist today is a corporate affairs, regulatory, and public policy leader with over 20 years of experience across manufacturing and consulting. She's the head of corporate and regulatory affairs at the British American Tobacco Nigeria. She leads regulatory strategy, fiscal policy, and stakeholder engagement across complex markets. She has successfully driven key fiscal and regulatory milestones, including excise reforms and balanced regulatory frameworks across West and Central Africa. She also held senior roles previously at Nigerian Breweries PLC and KPMG Nigeria, delivering significant tax and regulatory achievements. She's a lawyer by training and holds an LLM from the University of Pretoria and is an executive MBA candidate at the Lagos Business School. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I make welcome the Director of Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at BAT Nigeria, Ruth Owojaye. Please put your hands together for her. She comes up stage, please. Thank you. Please keep the applause till she comes up stage, please. It's very encouraging. Thank you so much. And our next panelist this morning, like I said, in no particular order, is a respected commercial diplomat, international trade expert, and Director General and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Exporters, ANE. Is a fellow of the Institute of Export of Nigeria and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. He has served on the boards of the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. He has represented Nigeria on major trade and investment missions, including the Intra-African Trade Fair in Egypt and South Africa, and also the inauguration of Nigeria's Export Trade House in Kenya. Is a sought-after speaker on export, trade, and the AFTA, AFCFTA, and he has addressed leading forums across Africa and internationally while participating in trade missions to more than 20 countries worldwide. Let me leave it here. Please join me as I make welcome the Director General and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Exporters, Prince Joseph Idiong. Please join me as I make Prince Joseph Idiong welcome to the stage. Okay. I think it's actually represented by some, just give me a second. And next on our panel today is the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Segun Ajayi Kadir, ably represented by Oluchi Odinuko. Please make welcome Oluchi Odinuko, please. Right, and we have Dr. Patrick Omoyeni, who is representing the Director General and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Exporters. Please make all of them feel welcome with a round of applause, please. Thank you. And moderating this panel for us today is broadcast journalist here at Business Day, Deborah Eze. Please make her welcome as she comes up stage, please. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, my beautiful panel right here. And it's really good to have you all join us this beautiful morning. And of course, I'm honored to be having this conversation on fixing the structural barriers holding Nigerian manufacturing back. You can all agree with me that manufacturing sits at the center of every serious conversation. And that is why we have the theme jobs. It also sits in exports, productivity, technology transfer, and industrialization. But today, we're not just going to be talking about the diagnosis. We're going to be looking at the way forward. What are the practical pathways for us to fix all of these bottlenecks? And of course, the first on my list this morning, I think you're representing Segun Ajayi Kadri. Oh, you are representing. All right, you're going to be the first on my list, Oluchi. Right. All right, the panelists are going to do me a favor. You all are going to reintroduce yourselves. Okay.
Adjustment to this panel. There's someone on this panel who is supposed to be on the second panel, and it was brought up to the stage. So you just have to make that quick adjustment. On this panel, we've got the General Manager, Sales and Operations at Meta IV Solutions, Ayodeji Oguntimehin, is actually supposed to be on this panel. You are supposed to be on the second panel. Please kindly excuse us from this panel. Doctor, so we're supposed to have Ayodeji Oguntimehin. Do we have Ayodeji Oguntimehin there? Okay, yes, please. Kindly join us on this panel. This first panel is supposed to be where you are on. Okay, so please, yes, please. Thank you. So sorry for the mix-up. Thank you very much. But I actually do need to read his bio. So, because I did read every other person's bio. It's the General Manager, Sales and Operations at Meta IV Solutions, where he oversees commercial growth, operational strategy, and production performance across the business. With over a decade of experience spanning sales, branding, production, and business operations, he has built a reputation for connecting strategy with execution to improve efficiency, strengthen delivery systems, and drive sustainable business growth. At the forefront of additive manufacturing at Meta 4, Ayodeji works across teams and processes to improve workflow efficiency, enhance product delivery, strengthen client relationships, and support innovation within the manufacturing value chain. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the General Manager, Sales and Operations, Meta IV Solutions, Ayodeji Oguntimehin. Please put your hands together for him because he was supposed to be here earlier. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. All right, so we're moving straight into the conversation. I'm a very witty person. I would like for the conversation to be witty and funny so people can really understand it. Yeah, so I'll be starting off with you, Oluchi, but I want you to introduce yourself first off so everyone can know who you are and who you're representing.
Okay, thank you very much. A very good morning to everyone. My name is Oluchi Odimoko. I am the Assistant Director, Sectoral and Regulatory Affairs of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. I'm representing our Director General. Thank you very much.
All right, now moving straight to the conversation. You engage manufacturers across virtually every segment of the economy. So what would you identify as the single most damaging structural bottlenecks holding Nigerian manufacturing back today? And why has it proven so difficult to solve despite years of policy conversation?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good question. For the Nigerian manufacturing space, really, we have, I'll call them buckets of challenges. The challenges are so enormous, but then the very key one really that is hindering profitability of the manufacturing space in Nigeria, it's electricity. I think no wonder why when one of our colleagues there responded to the question that the moderator asked, I think the first on her list was still electricity. So electricity supply for the industry sector, it's one that is very irregular. Okay, and so most operators, most manufacturers, they had to source for alternative energy. And in the past year, the manufacturing industry players, as much as we were able to gather from surveys that we circulated or that we studied, they spent about 1.34 trillion naira in terms of alternative energy. And this is aside the payments that was made to the discos. And so you see that about 25 to 30% of cost of production, it's also attributed to energy. And so for energy, I see that, or we as Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and manufacturing industry sector, I think we see the reason why, it's been a very difficult challenge for Nigeria to solve. And one would see that in the past, I think it was in 2013 when there was privatization, okay? So we believe it wasn't adequately done. And why did I say this? I said this to say that there wasn't enough or proper due diligence. It didn't take care of the infrastructural challenges as at that time. And even today, the facilities or the assets that is being used to generate, transmit, and distribute power, they are more than 60 years. And so the maintenance is such that it's still not enough to ensure that the energy generated in Nigeria, which is about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts, is not easily taken up by the discos. And so these are serious challenges for us. I say this to say that, yes, there should be the culture of maximum maintenance, just like it's been done in South Africa. The asset for electricity in Nigeria is almost, or even a lot more newer, if I would say that, than South Africa. South Africa, their asset management for managing electricity is still very old, but then they are able to generate much more electricity than Nigeria, okay? And they do distribute much more than Nigeria. So it's a whole lot. So another barrier to resolving that challenge is really political will. As much as I'm concerned, I see no reason why, in fact, I would say political will is unnecessary if there is determination to grow the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. Why did I say that? Really, if we are determined to grow manufacturing sector in Nigeria, taking into consideration of our population, that's about 220 to 230 million Nigerians. And then also taking into consideration of our younger generation, and just to say that Nigeria and in fact Africa has the youngest the largest number of young generations in the entire globe. So if we consider that, I think from our various positions, whether it's at the executive level of government or at the very small quarters where we operate as individuals, we should be determined, intentional about what we want to do. And so for us, because we know that there is no determination to grow the manufacturing industry sector in Nigeria, hence the need for the Nigerian government to, have that political will to ensure that the adequate infrastructure are put in place. And as a matter of fact, I think it's high time. Yes, they have commercialized them for now, the much we know, electricity generation and distribution, but much more needs to be done, especially in clusters where, the cost of electricity supply will as much as possible be reduced so that we can channel some other funds to innovations that will increase or enhance development of Nigeria. I think I would want to stop for that for want of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oluchi. My next question is going to be thrown at Ayodiji Oluwatime. Of course, you already expected it. All right, we can all agree that Nigeria is actually battling economic stability, and then businesses are also battling operation costs and infrastructure gaps, just like Oluchi has explained. So from your own point of view, what role do you think technology and operational efficiency play in helping companies protect margins and also remain competitive?
Thank you very much. My name is Ayodiji. I'm the general manager at Metaphor Solutions. At Metaphor Solutions, we do 3D printing and additive manufacturing. I'm going to try to explain what we do a bit for people that don't know about 3D printing. So 3D printing allows you to produce in smaller quantities, or maybe you need parts, you need tools, you need machinery, like machine parts and all of that. 3D printing allows you to produce in smaller quantities, single units, and that's the sweet spot of 3D printing. So from the additive manufacturing space, like from the point of view of someone that's into the 3D printing, technology has actually aided us because what we do is literally technology based. It helps reduce wastes, faster prototyping time. You don't have to do the whole tooling of injection molding. The whole having to wait for logistics to ship from China, looking for FX. 3D printing as a technology based manufacturing has been able to solve that for everybody. Do you understand? So I think we need to actually just embrace technology more, be open to alternative sources of production. I am sure there are people in this space that don't even know about additive manufacturing. All we know about is, the regular, I want to produce this way, I want to go to China. The whole logistics time, technology helps ease that.
Ruth, over to you. All right, now, I want you to agree or disagree with this statement. Do you think Nigeria does not lack industrial policy? It lacks delivery. Do you agree with that?
So thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm Ruth, I've been introduced. So I cannot disagree. Colleagues here have already given the multiple issues around what's happening with the manufacturing sector. The key issue is not policy. We have hundreds of policies that are supposed to enable the manufacturing sector. The issue really is implementation, execution. How do you execute? How do you move from policy to execution? Oluchi already talked about power. We have a beautiful power policy, but what's happening on ground? So, good example, in the power sector, for instance, the capacity needed in Nigeria to light up Nigeria, everybody can manufacture, we need about 100,000 megawatts as a country. But where we are now is 4,000, 5,000. There's nowhere or there's no how that the manufacturing sector can take that quantity of electricity and do the magic
around manufacturing. It's impossible, which is why where you see companies like mine, for instance, are able to get alternative power. We can do megawatts of, generate our own megawatts. For instance, in my factory, we do 1.4 megawatt solar panels. We also do 100% CNG. But not all businesses can do what we are doing, which is what the problem is. People want to do manufacturing, they want to sell here in Nigeria, they even want to export. But that power is lacking. And this is really where government says, oh, we want to generate this, we want to do that, we are doing this, we have discos, we have sold. But okay, Oga, power minister and whatever it is, how do I get electricity to manufacture these things I need to sell here or export? Is lacking. So the issue is not really with policies. We have beautiful policies. And in fact, very recently, the Ministry of Trade and Investment launched the Nigerian Industrial Policy in February. And if you read that document, it's well written. There's so much government wants to do. But now it's for us to wait and see how quickly can we convert that paper into what impacts the manufacturer, because there is so much to manufacture. Nigeria has all the resources, both, FMCG, minerals, whatever it is. But policies need to work for people to be able to create these products, generate profits, and eventually, create the prosperity that Nigeria needs. So yes, the answer to that question is that we have policies, good ones, beautiful on paper, but it needs to be executed. And that's where it will solve all the problems that we're seeing. It's been so many years we've been trying to implement so many things, but for now, we're not there yet. And we're really hoping that, with this government, the new government that is coming, there's just that drive, that political will to implement what we have in these policies.
All right, Oluchi, now let's move away from the implementation and also technology. Now let's bring it back down to local production and also import dependence. Now, would you say, some manufacturers argue that Nigeria is inadvertently taxing production and rewarding import dependence? Now, when you examine energy costs, logistics, inefficiencies, poor congestion, FX instability, and multiple taxation, when we actually put all of them together, would you say Nigeria has unintentionally become structurally hostile to local production?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question, by the way. But if you're saying unintentional, honestly, at this point, we will no longer say that it's unintentional, it is intentional. And why did I say it is intentional? Like Ruth said, the policies are beautiful, very beautiful. The socio-economic structures are very beautiful at the surface. But the depth of it, which is the core implementation and execution, it's not there. When it comes to multiplicity of taxes, thanks to the new tax act, we are hoping that it will, as much as possible, reduce the number of taxes that are being paid by manufacturers and then individuals like you and I. I would want to ask you, if you pay your tax and the feelings you get after paying your tax, is it satisfying? As much as it is not satisfying to you as an individual, I'm not sure it's satisfying to the manufacturing sector, because I think sometimes early 2000, man did a study on the multiplicity of taxes on the manufacturing sector. And I will tell you that the number of taxes as at then that were being paid by manufacturers are over 60. We still have the documents to show if you so require. And so with the new tax law, it's expected that every business and every manufacturing firm should not pay more than 9 taxes. After the launch of the tax and its implementation, which we believe commenced on January 1 to 2026, how many states, subnationals, have integrated that aspect of the law? just a few weeks ago, we were called by the Lagos state government to make submissions on the 9 different taxes that manufacturers will have to pay. And the association has made that submission. We are hoping that it will be fully implemented by the House of Assembly, Lagos state government, and then we are also encouraging other subnationals to toe that line because it will help reduce as much as possible the tax burden on the manufacturing sector. Then when it comes to logistics, really, the cost of logistics from the Apapa Tinkan port to Amuwo Dolphin is more than freighting a container load of raw materials from China to Lagos. I must tell you that for free. And so why that challenge? We have lots of bureaucracies in the ports. We have port congestion. We have high level of human interfaces that are not necessary. And so as much as possible to reduce that, technology, good, thank God that we are beginning to adjust to technology. But for me, I would say we are catching up on technology. It's not enough. So maybe for want of time, I think I will have to stop that. If you allow me, I will take the whole room.
All right, you
the
still
whole
have
time. Thank you.
You still have more questions, definitely. So you definitely take the whole room. I like how the conversation is going. Oluchi pinpoints the problem, and then we move to you for the solution. Now back to you, Mr. Ayodeji. Across sectors, we understand that many organizations are investing heavily when it comes to digital transformation. Everybody wants to go digital now. So we cannot really measure productivity gain with the number of investment that is actually going into it. So what separates companies that successfully translate technology investment into measurable business? What separates that?
Thank you very much. What's it called? When people or companies hear technology going digital, I think maybe it's in this part of the world, but everybody just feels, oh, the moment you add technology, everything is fine. You don't have to do anything. Everything just falls in place. But technology without properly training the people, setting standard KPIs, looking for ways to improve processes is not going to work. It is literally just not doing anything. So the companies that are actually going to enjoy or reap the fruits of technology are the ones that actually put things in place. They study the problem or they study what they want to fix. They look for the solution, the technological solution, and they use it to address it after studying and training the people that are going to fix the problems for them. It's not just training technology. You cannot do away with people. Yes, you would reduce people and all of that, but we still need people. We just need smarter ways to adopt technology. If you adopt smartly, technology would definitely ease everything for you.
Ruth, now let's go back to regulation. You're actually directly involved in shaping regulatory outcomes, including reversal and recalibrations. Is that correct? So what specific regulation contradictions overlaps today's highest high cost on manufacturers? And how do you think Nigeria can move from fragment oversight to a predictable, harmonized regulatory architecture without weakening standards?
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a very good question, and I like how you phrased it because, looking at Nigeria and then layering it with manufacturing, there are so many regulatory overlaps that, again, stunts this whole conversation we're having around manufacturing. So like I already said earlier, there are policies, and of course, a lot of these policies have very good intent. So for instance, the Ministry of Trade has this policy, the Ministry of Finance has that, Environment has that. But now that coordination to ensure that the good you're trying to achieve across all the different ministries do not suffocate the industries that need to create this value. That is really where that's really the major problem. So, for instance, government says, oh, I want to ensure that goods that are being manufactured have good quality. We have to put, for instance, taxes, paper tax stamps and all that. One ministry is doing that. Then these things cost money, Then another ministry says, oh, I'm trying to ensure that we're reducing illicit trade, counterfeiting, and I want to put the same tax stamp. And the manufacturer is sitting down and saying to themselves, Oga, you are doing tax stamps here, I will pay. I'll do tax stamps here. Because ultimately this thing costs from the cost of the goods that are being sold to the final consumer. Because the manufacturer will not bear that cost. That cost needs to be transferred. So policies are good. There are good reasons why this ministry is doing this. The other ministry is doing that. But can you as government, because we are looking at you as government, can you harmonize or streamline these things such that that cost is not significant? In fact, there's some that could be avoided, which is why stakeholder engagement is important. In trying to create these policies, in trying to do that, you need to speak with the people who will be impacted by these policies. So sometimes government will have gone a long way, then at the tail end, they say, quickly just come for a meeting, and you're at that meeting and you're saying, but you have already passed the law, you have already created guidelines, what is going to be my input? I'm the one who is going to suffer from this. So basically, regulatory overlaps with government, they need to speak more to each other in creating what it is that will impact the manufacturer. And like you already know, and in fact, that's why I really like MAN. Every other day, they're in the news telling the story of how things are declining for the manufacturing industry. And manufacturers is not necessarily the big guys and the multinationals. It could be the SME trying to do ORI just somebody trying to create value. And all these things have a way of coming back to impact those businesses that help Nigeria do better. Now, for instance, again, another issue I'd just like to, just buttress. There's this issue of, okay, Nigeria, the Tinubu government puts up this, when they came into government, want to do exports, Nigeria first, want to put Nigerian products, out there. But, okay, the person who is exporting or creating the goods for exports, there's something we call the export expansion grants, that when you export, you get some grant that helps you to grow your export business. But it's been several years now that a lot of exporters have gotten those grants. Yes, we know that Nigeria we've been dealing with deficit issues and all that. But to put the goods out there, the person needs his or her grants to be given to him or her to expand the business. So with all this after ACA, AFCA, and all these things, Africa has become a global market. You want to compete in Africa where goods are produced a bit more cheaper than Nigeria. Nigerian products are going to be expensive. So how do we compete with Africa? So why don't you think about, okay, you are owing grants, can we give some? Just that whole thinking to ensure that, we are supporting the manufacturers to grow the business. So you are owing, for instance, 10 million. Okay, can we give them 2 million, 3 million now to add to business so that they can even grow? The government may not be able to give all that. There's so much happening. So for instance, my company, we export into 12 African countries and to the US. Imagine if we're able to get those grants back. We will do far more. And this is us, the big multinational. How much more the other smaller guys who are exporting to the Togo and other African countries. So basically for me, what I'm saying, regulators need to sit together and see how best they can harmonize what they're doing, to ensure that ultimately the manufacturer is able to add value, and create the profits. Imagine exporters being able to bring back their capital. It helps this deficit that we have in the country, So much is going on. Some good things are happening now. FX has stabilized to some extent, People can plan now. But, there's still more to be done to help businesses, because businesses are investing money not for today, they're investing for the future. So there must be stability with FX. Regulatory policies must be clear. People must know how they want to go about their businesses. So government needs to support business in that regard with implementation of policies, even enforcement. Okay, you create a policy, you want things to be done in a certain manner. then some other people are not complying. Me, I'm trying to comply with what the law is saying. Okay, how are you going to ensure that those policies you have created are such that everybody complies? There must be a level playing field, or else somebody sells it cheaper because the person is not paying taxes, is not doing that. So there's just a whole gamut of things that needs to happen to ensure that in the regulatory space, everything is such that it benefits the manufacturer and ultimately benefits the country.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Back to you, Oluchi. You have the whole room now. All right, still on implementation, because I'm a believer of we cannot rule out the government away from whatever it is that we are doing. So we understand from everything that we've said, many of the policies are well written, beautiful on paper, but then execution is very poor. So speak to us from your perspective, where exactly does this implementation typically breaks down? Is it from the political will? Are we looking at institutional coordination, regulatory inconsistency, or capacity constraints?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. For effective implementation of different, supportive policies and regulation, okay, I would want to, speak to that for energy first. Okay, one, it's there should, as much as possible, be an adequate framework that will enhance generation, distribution, and transmission. So much so that industries, even large companies that produce or generate electricity, should be able to allow to be interact with one another so that they can adequately supply some other smaller companies with electricity. And then for regulation, just like Ruth said, the fragmentation is so much. I so much believe, okay, let me give an instance when it comes to ensuring effective implementation of regulations. Okay, for while I was overseeing Lagos State as the Executive Secretary of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Ikeja branch, in 2016, the sitting governor advised the state ministries, departments, and agencies that have regulatory functions over the manufacturing sector to harmonize regulations of the manufacturing sector. Okay, we started the process, but along the line there was will I call it a stop. And why was that? One of them reliably informed me that because there is a scramble for regulatory mandates, and so we couldn't continue with the harmonization of the regulations of manufacturing industries under Lagos State. And then as much as possible, I think we happened to attend a meeting where the regulation is being sponsored by an international donor. And so when compliance becomes to the interest of the international development donor, it becomes a challenge because MDAs will be scrambling for what comes to them. It happens in environment, to say we still have evidences of that. A lot. So as much as possible for effective implementation, yes, it's good to align with global practices, but then it's also important that we domesticate those regulations to what works in Nigeria and for Nigeria. I wouldn't want to forget the response of Madam Ronke. She made mention of changing the manufacturing regulations for Nigeria or business model for Nigeria. She made mention that we should move away from the Western model to the Asian model. And I would want to believe what she meant by that. And why did I say that? In Asia or China, for instance, regulation is done by various clusters. If, for instance, an industry cluster in Guangzhou, it's into suitcases and bags, there is strictly some regulations for that purpose. And so if that is adequately done, of course, they will produce to their maximum and to the optimum interest of their society. That is not done in Nigeria. We tend to copy and paste whatever policies or whatever regulations from elsewhere and bring it down to Nigeria. For instance, for the food, beverage, and tobacco sector, there is this front of pack labeling. Okay, they want manufacturers to use traffic signs as part of their front of pack labeling. And honestly, one wonders, where is it done? It's not because you saw it elsewhere, you would want us to toll that process. No, we should be very definite and we should know what works for Nigeria. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask you the final question. So Ruth, finally, let's look at the energy and logistics. It remains, a binding constraint. So if Nigeria were to prioritize just one scalable intervention or industrial clusters, which is it going to be, and which do you think is going to deliver the fastest productivity gains for the government and private capital?
Okay, thanks for that question. So I think what governments can support manufacturers to implement, in fact, they're already doing that, but I mean, just to do some more, is to ensure that, for instance, using Lagos State, for example, we have the clusters, free trade zones, all these places. But if you can just have clusters of manufacturers, we used to have all those industrial estates, and then ensure that those places, manufacturers have access, small, medium, whichever one, and there's power that is affordable. I know that, yes, government is subsidizing power now, but in the interest of ensuring that we can scale up really quickly, government should prioritize clusters and give them power. And then, of course, infrastructure is still an issue, but it's not something that can be fixed overnight. But I think if we can just cluster these manufacturing hubs and provide them at least with electricity so that they can manufacture what it is that they need to do, and then, allow them to sell locally or export, as the case may be, and then basically just support that value chain. I don't know how to, basically that value chain of, I want to produce, I can do that very quickly here, electricity, whatever it is. I need to transport. There's opportunity for me to quickly transport, despite all the issues we have with the infrastructure. I want to export. What is hindering? Remove all those barriers that are, going to not going to allow them do what it is that helps them sell and then get the profits in. So for me, I think those hubs are really good. Help also with that exports. If you ask me, is going to really help balance trade for Nigeria. If you can allow, people produce for exports, of course, meeting all the international standards and all that, and then somehow we're moving baby steps, small steps, but we're moving in the right direction in that regard.
All right. Before I open the floor for questions, Ayodeji, finally, you give us technology as the solution. So how do you think organizations can redesign operational systems, the workforce or the workflows, and also decision-making processes for them to become more eligible to a volatile economy?
When organizations are trying to make everything more efficient, workflow more efficient, they need to actually put lots of things in place. And one of the most fundamental things is implementing an open door policy. I literally really like an open door policy when it comes to implementing things. Technology-wise, I was going to talk about artificial intelligence because lots of people, Nigerians, we think artificial intelligence only has to do with tweaking videos, tweaking pictures, asking personal questions, but it actually goes more than that. the aim is to build smarter workplaces, not necessarily bigger, not necessarily huge workplaces, smarter workplaces. One of the things that, like, on this, I had to pass my phone to someone else because something happened at work and I've been really pissed off. So in my head, I'm like, if there are smarter workplaces, like where you could use artificial intelligence to control lots of things, you could predict the outcome. In our place, we use it already. We use artificial intelligence for predictive maintenance. We use it for rendering. When you are into what we do, you have to render, you have to model, and all of those things take time. So artificial intelligence is going to help, and that's.
Thank you very much, Ayodeji. Fantastic way to actually end this panel section. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Oluchi. Thank you, Ruth, and thank you, Ayodeji.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to our brilliant panelists and our brilliant moderator for such an excellent conversation. Once again, please put your hands together for our panelists and our moderator for this session, please. Very, very, very excellent conversation, I must say. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, while we were having our panel conversation, the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment walked in. And while I welcome her to make, the keynote address, I know we all know her, but I do need to read a citation briefly. She's an accomplished business leader. She's a strategist and public sector executive working as and serving as the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment in the Lagos State Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment. She was appointed in 2023 and she leads initiatives that promote trade, investment, industrial development, entrepreneurship, and ease of doing business in Africa's largest subnational economy. And she has more than 2 decades of senior leadership experience across finance, strategy, sustainability, business transformation, and stakeholder engagement. And she's held executive roles in multinational organizations, including Lafarge Africa PLC, where she served as the Director of Communications, Public Affairs, and Sustainable Development. She's a graduate of the London Guildhall University with a degree in Accounting and Finance and an MBA from the Open University Business School, United Kingdom. She is widely recognized for driving economic growth, investment promotion, and private sector development. And under our leadership, Lagos State has advanced major investment, industrialization, and business enabling initiatives aimed at strengthening the state's position as a leading commercial and investment hub in Africa. And one thing that's really important is the fact that she's also a passionate advocate for women's leadership, sustainable development, and mentorship. And she continues to empower the next generation of business and public sector leaders. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation, please join me to make welcome the Honorable Commissioner for the Lagos State Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Folashade K. Bada Ambrose Medebe. Please make that applause louder, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your outstanding welcome. Thank you, and I'm delighted to be here. One thing that I'm also equally delighted to have as one of our accolades. Sorry, I'm just looking for the, 1 second. Is the fact that we are also the state that has published and launched its first industrial policy in the Federation of Nigeria called the Lagos State Industrial Policy 2025 to 2030. That's something we're very, very proud of. Delighted to be here. Please permit me to stand on the highly established protocol and just go straight into my speech. Speech that is to do with the manufacturing conference and the theme Manufacturing Nigeria's Future Jobs, Competitiveness and Industrial Prosperity. I'm sure we all agree that there's no serious conversation about the future of Nigerian manufacturing that can be held outside Lagos. We're very humble in Lagos, you know that, right? This city, this mega city, Lagos State, accommodates the largest share of the nation's industrial base, the densest concentration of its commercial activity, and the deepest pool of its skilled labor. It is therefore both a privilege and a responsibility to address you this afternoon at the Business Day Manufacturing Conference. I obviously and always commend Business Day Media for convening this dialogue at a moment when the choices our manufacturers, our investors, our policymakers make will define the next quarter century of the Nigerian economy. Every industrial economy in modern city Nigeria has been built on the strength of a confident manufacturing sector. Manufacturing converts raw material, converts raw value into finished value, raw labor into skilled labor, and raw capital into productive capital. The case for Nigerian manufacturing, therefore, extends well beyond economics. It speaks to sovereignty, it speaks to youth employment, and it speaks to the foreign exchange position of the federation, our federation. So for Lagos State, this case sits at the center of our policy posture. Our economy is now valued at approximately $260 billion US on a purchasing parity basis, making Lagos State the second largest city economy on the African continent. We contribute over 30% of Nigeria's gross domestic product from a single subnational jurisdiction. Under the leadership of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, we have set ourselves the task of growing this economy to $1 trillion by 2052, in line with Lagos State Development Plan and His Excellency the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are clear-eyed about the headwinds our manufacturers face. We're clear about the energy costs, the foreign exchange volatility, the logistics pressures, and the infrastructure gaps, all that remain and real constraints on our industrial output. So the posture of the Lagos State government in response to this one intervention is partnership and sustained reform. The architect of that response is already visible in the policy and infrastructure choices of this administration. Our recently launched Lagos State Industrial Policy 2025 to 2030 anchors that response. It is a strategic roadmap designed to deepen industrial productivity, attract long cycle investment, and strengthen MSME participation in value chains, expand export performance, and position Lagos as the premier manufacturing destination on the African continent. The policy aligns with the Themes Plus development agenda as well as the Lagos State Development Plan 2052 and the market access opportunities
by the African Continental Free Trade Area, which connects 1.4 billion people across 54 countries, accumulating in a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion. So on infrastructure, we are investing across the corridors that move goods and the systems that move power. The Lekki Free Zone ecosystem, anchored by the world's largest single train refinery at 650,000 barrels a day. The Lekki Deep Sea Port, Alaro City, and Lagos Smart City has become one of sub-Saharan Africa's most consequential industrial precincts. Ongoing improvements in road networks, rail transportation, and port connectivity are steadily reducing operational bottlenecks and improving the velocity of trade. On regulation, our administration is pressing forward with the digitization of business processes, the reform of permitting and licensing regimes, and the institutional discipline that contracts will be honored and timelines met. No industrial economy succeeds without a thriving base of small and medium-sized enterprises. And through the 10 billion naira Lagos State Government Bank of Industry access to finance for MSMEs through cooperatives called LASMECO, anchored through my ministry, the Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, we are also widening the credit corridor for productive small businesses across the state. Also within my ministry and through the Lagos State Export Readiness Program, LASERP, we delivered with the African Export-Import Bank and Impactor, I beg your pardon, AFREXIM, that's what we call the Africa Import-Export Bank. We have built the export capacity, and I'm delighted to say, of over 250 small and medium-sized enterprises, of which 189 of them are actually women-owned businesses. Thank you. Beyond the immediate horizon, Lagos is positioning itself on the industries that will define the second half of this century. We are backing clean energy investment. We are backing technology-driven enterprises. We are backing digital skills development and the innovation ecosystems that will sustain the state's long-term industrial competitiveness. It is in this context that Lagos State will also be hosting the first global edition, although it's Invest Lagos 3.0, in Lagos on the 8th and 9th of June 2026. This summit is our first premier global platform for showcasing the investment opportunities across the productive sectors of our economy, and it will deepen partnerships between government, private sector, development finance institutions, and the international investor community. I extend an open invitation to every manufacturer and every investor in the room. We're actually going to be partnering with the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council, which is the business arm of the Commonwealth. So we're bringing, quite frankly, Lagos State to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of the Nigerian economy will be shaped by our collective ability to industrialize, innovate, and build competitive local industries. Africa's population is the youngest and fastest growing in the world, and the AFTA has opened the largest single market for industrial goods on the continent in our lifetime. Lagos State will continue to support local production, attract strategic capital, strengthen value chains, and create the sustainable employment that lifts households and secures shared prosperity for generations to come. So through stronger collaboration between government, industry, investors, and development partners, we can and we will build an industrial economy capable of driving competitiveness, innovation, and inclusive growth across Nigeria and the wider African continent. I thank once again BusinessDay Media, especially the chairman, for convening this important platform, and I appreciate every stakeholder here present for the contributions you continue to make towards a stronger and more productive Nigerian economy. Thank you. God bless Lagos State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as we say in Lagos, Igbega, Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe. Thank you.
A very big thank you to our Honorable Commissioner for that very challenging and inspiring goodwill message. Thank you very much. Once again, please put your hands together for our Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment. We'll be taking quick photographs, please, with the Honorable Commissioner, please. Quick photographs, please. Mrs. Ruth Owojaye, please join us with this photograph. Oluchi Odimuko, please join us in this photograph. Dr. Praise Adedigba Abina, please join us. Dr. Patrick Omoyeni, please join us. Can we have a representative from Z-Vance as well? A representative from Filterland Industries Limited, our sponsors. Dr. Innocent Una, our deputy editor here at Business Day, deputy editor-in-chief. Ambassador Kola Aderigbe, LCCI vice president. Vice president. Please join us. Thank you very much, our Honorable Commissioner, and thank you, everyone. Right now, we'll be going to our keynote address, and our keynote address will be taken by the President and Chairman of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, well represented by Ambassador Kola Aderibigbe, the Vice President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, representing Engineer Leye Kupoluyi. Please put your hands together for Ambassador Kola Aderibigbe as he comes up for the keynote address. Please keep the applause sustained till it comes to the podium, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Commissioner who just left, dignitaries present here this morning. My name, once again, is Ambassador Kola Aderibigbe, Vice President, Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry. I'm here not on my own, but representing my President and Chairman of Council of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Engineer Leye Kupoluyi, who is unaffordably absent. So if you hear hi, please don't attribute the content to be mine. We're reading it on his behalf. Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026 with the theme, Manufacturing Nigeria's Future, Jobs Competitiveness, and Industrial Prosperity. It is a privilege to address this strategic gathering on a subject that centers to Nigeria's economic future. I commend Business Day Media Limited for sustaining a critical platform that advances industrial policy, dialogue, competitiveness, and economic transformation. Manufacturing remains the backbone of every prosperous economy. No nation has achieved sustainable growth, large-scale job creation, export expansion, and economic resilience without a strong industrial base. For Nigeria, industrialization is no longer optional. It is an economic necessity. With a population exceeding 230 million people and rapidly growing youth demographic, Nigeria must deliberately transition from a consumption-driven economy to a production-led economy. Yet, manufacturing productivity continues to face major constraints, including unreliable power supply, high cost of energy, foreign exchange volatility, elevated inflation, weak logistic infrastructure, multiple taxation, and limited access to affordable long-term financing, including lack of enabling environment. These structural challenges continue to weaken industrial competitiveness and discourage investment. Nigeria possesses enormous industrial potential. Our large domestic markets, abundant natural resources, entrepreneurial capacity, expanding digital ecosystem, and strategic opportunities under African Continental Free Trade Area position the country for industrial expansion across agro-processing, petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, automobiles, textiles, construction materials, and light manufacturing. Nigeria industrial challenge is fundamentally a competitiveness challenge. In today's global economy, competitiveness is driven by energy efficiency, logistic performance, technology adoption, workforce productivity, access to finance, and policy stability. Therefore, Nigerians must urgently prioritize reforms to industrial productivity. Energy security for industry must become a national priority through investment in gas infrastructure, embedded power generation, industrial energy clusters, and transmission modernization. Nigeria must modernize ports, rail system, highways, and industrial corridors to reduce logistic costs and improve supply chain efficiency. The industrial financing must become more affordable, long-term, and productivity-driven to support manufacturing expansion and export growth. Equally important is technology and workforce development. The future of manufacturing is increasingly digital, automated, and innovation-driven. Nigeria must strengthen technical education, industrial research, smart manufacturing systems, and industrial academia collaboration to build a globally competitive industrial workforce. Nigeria must also pursue export-led industrialization. Sustainable manufacturing growth cannot depend solely on domestic consumption only. The African Continental Free Trade Area provides Nigeria with a historic opportunity to become a leading manufacturing and export hub for Africa. To achieve this, local industries must improve quality standards, productivity, and export competitiveness. Most importantly, industrial growth requires policy consistencies and regulatory predictability. Investors require certainty for long-term capital allocation. Stronger collaboration between the government and the organized private sector is therefore essential to achieving sustainable industrial transformation. The opportunity, therefore, before us, is significant, but execution is critical. Nigeria possesses the markets, we possess the talent, the resources, and entrepreneurial capability required for industrial transformation. That is the reason why we have people like you here, because you have every potential that Nigeria needs. What is required now is coordinated action from you that you are seated here, and for those who are not here, please pass the message to them. It's the action that we need. Both reforms from the government and sustained commitment. Let this conference strengthen the national consensus around productivity, competitiveness, and industrial prosperities as the foundation for Nigeria's economy future. On behalf of Engineer Leye Kukuluye, the President and Chairman of Council, Lagos Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Ambassador Kola Aderibigbe, the Vice President at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Please put your hands together for Ambassador Kola Aderibigbe for a well-delivered keynote address. We didn't feel like, it felt like you were delivering it, that was the president delivering it. So thank you so much for that very excellent keynote address. So right now we'll be going to our second and final panel for today. And this panel is focused on building manufacturing value chains that employ, export, and compete globally. And as I always like to say, in no particular order, I'll be welcoming our panelists. And as I do so, please make them feel welcome with a resounding round of applause. First on this panel today is the Director General of the Nigeria Association of Chambers, Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, Nasima Shola Obadimu, well represented by Dr. Praise Adedigba Abina, Research Manager. Please make him welcome as he comes up stage, please. And next on our panel today is also not a stranger to the house. As I welcome him off stage, please make him welcome. He's a chartered accountant, former EY consultant, and accomplished fashion and lifestyle entrepreneur with over 8 years of experience in strategy, business development, and brand building. Is a graduate of leading accelerator programs delivered by the Tony Elumelu Foundation, Impact Investors Foundation, Africa Development Bank, Bank of Industry, and the Lagos Business School. He combines strong commercial expertise with a passion for creative expertise. He's the founder and the CEO of Detail Africa. Distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, please make welcome the founder and the CEO of Detail Africa Group, Seromume Ikogo. Please make him welcome as he comes up stage, please. Thank you. And still on this panel today is a respected commercial diplomat, international trade expert, and the Director General and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Exporters, ANE, is a fellow of the Institute of Export of Nigeria and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. He has served on the boards of the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. He's represented Nigeria on major trade and investment missions, including the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Egypt and South Africa, and the inauguration of Nigeria's Export Trade House in Kenya. Please make welcome Director General and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Exporters, ANE, Prince Joseph Idiong, well represented by Dr. Patrick Omoyeni, Chairman of the Association of Nigerian Exporters, ANE. Please make him welcome as he comes up. Please sustain the applause till he comes up to the stage, please. And to moderate this panel for us this afternoon is trade correspondent here at Business Day, Bethel Olujobi. Please put your hands together for Bethel Olujobi.
All right, good afternoon. Oh, this chair is really comfy. How are we feeling today? How have the conversations been so far? I am not hearing any voices. Are we good? Are we good? Can I proceed? All right, wonderful. Welcome. Can we give a round of applause once more? Undoubtedly, a lot has happened in the last year in the manufacturing sector, and most especially in recent months. I mean, we just heard about the industrial policy that was unveiled recently, very recently, that hopes to move the manufacturing sector's contribution to GDP from just the edge of 10% that it's currently at to an ambitious 20 to 25% in only 5 years. I mean, we saw the GDP report yesterday, and its manufacturing sector has grown. As a matter of fact, I think we should clap for manufacturers that despite all that has happened, they've managed to produce. Can we clap for them? If you're a manufacturer here, clap for yourself. Great. So we saw an improvement in the manufacturing sector, and that which was really inspiring and also encouraging. But of course, we would only pretend not to know what's happening, right? I mean, look at the war in the Middle East. That has disrupted a lot of things, shipping, and even raised costs across board for several people and several manufacturers, even Nigeria, from way over there in the Middle East. And also, this has also rippled into the inflation that we talked about and the interest rates that I'm sure manufacturers would have had come down recently when the CBN held rates. But the beauty of conversations like this, the beauty of Business Days conferences specifically, is in as much as we spotlight what the problems are, we also try to move a step further to bring up the solutions and bring up the new ideas and also tell the success stories. I'm glad that we have Detail Africa here. I'm excited for that conversation. For those who don't know Detail Africa, I just went to do a quick research, and they produce very nice bags. You will pay for this advertisement. But and it's encouraging to see that such things happen in Nigeria, but many people don't know. But we'll get to that conversation in a bit. I'm really excited for this. I hope you are too. So just without further ado, I'll get on with the questions. All right. I would like to, because I've said a lot, so I would like everyone to just say their names and what they do once more so everyone is acquainted. Starting with you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Patrick Omoyeni. I'm the chairman, Association of Nigerian Exporters, Lagos branch. I'm here representing the DG, CEO of the ANE, and it's nice being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sir Mome Ikpogo. Good afternoon, actually.
We can't hear you, sir.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay.
You're not answering. Please say that again.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
You.
My name is Sir Mome Ikogo. I am the founder of Detail Africa Group. Essentially, we are a fashion, leather goods, lifestyle, hospitality, and interior design group company. So we actually play across all of these areas, as well as some other sub-sectors too. And I'm actually very glad to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Habina Praise. I'm here representing the Director General of NASIMA, Engineer Olushola Obademu. I'm the Senior Research Manager in NASIMA. Thank you.
All right, I will just start with you since you were the last to tell us. NASIMA, we understand, is an advocacy group. And so you are what I would consider a line of, so how we have contact centers, manufacturers approach NASIMA and then you advocate basically for the manufacturers. From where you stand and from your experience, your vast experience, looking at the environment right now, what reforms, we're speaking a lot of the challenges, what reforms are most urgently required in the present environment to create a predictable industrial environment for large-scale manufacturers and even small-scale investment in the manufacturing sector?
Thank you very much. So basically, there are two basic reforms, the monetary reform and the fiscal reform. The most important reform for now is the consistency in fiscal reform. We see that there are a lot of changes when it comes to fiscal reforms, basically when it comes to taxation. And because we are not being educated properly as regards what we should and what we should not do when it comes to fiscal reform. As at early this year, we invite the current Minister of Finance to hold a stakeholders engagement with NASIMA and its members, which is called the Engagement on Organized Private Sector of Nigeria. He made it clear to us on the changes as regards the fiscal reform. He made it also clear to us that it's not everybody that is to be taxed. He made it also clear to us that there are so many things that they've abolished under the fiscal reform that is tilted towards easing the business, easing cost of doing business in Nigeria. But because we are not educated about it, because we are ignorant about it, we still go on to do the old thing. So I'll call it consistency in fiscal reform. When there is consistency in a particular reform, then the business environment will thrive longer. And if you've seen, in this current administration, he was formerly the Minister of State for Finance before he became the Minister of Finance. If you read through the news very well, you can see that they are trying to make the fiscal reform to stay and to last longer. But because of the consistency and implementation of this reform, we find out that businesses are not thriving. And that's from the angle of NASIMA. That's our perception, and that's what we have to take. Thank you.
Okay, speaking of reforms, I would like to speak to someone who is directly affected by those reforms, Mr. Seramome. At Detail Africa, we understand that, at least we can all agree that manufacturing, not manufacturing itself, but building, because that's what we all do. We are building competitive businesses, right? That's what we strive for. So building competitive businesses requires a little more than manufacturing capacity. So where does design, quality control, standardization, distribution, where do Nigerian businesses still underestimate these things, the discipline that is required to build enduring and sustainable brands?
So yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah. And I think it is, so I mean, first of all, I would speak for SMEs, right? Which constitutes a much more larger percentage of producers in Nigeria in terms of the numbers, not the output now, right? I'll speak for the SMEs. There is a wrong notion that we have as people, especially workers in Nigeria, that because I am part of the production team, it means I can leave this place and go and set up my own production line. Or it means that I can be successful at the same business. But what happens is that many times, these same workers, after trying to do this, they come back begging because they tried it and it was not successful, because they had this wrong notion that because I know how to produce this, it means I can produce it and sell it and create a business out of it. However, the product that is being sold is, which is quite funny, is a small part of the business. The business is the brand. So now the question becomes a much more branding question than a production question, which is where I would say many Nigerian businesses, especially SMEs, do not really focus on. And the truth is that it is a cause and effect analysis. That in itself is an effect of something else. And the reason is because of why do these people even go into business in the first place? Many people in Nigeria don't tend to go into businesses to build brands. They go into business because there was no job or they're just trying to make ends meet. The way you approach a business that way will be different from when you go into it building a brand. And building a brand takes a certain level of understanding and I would say education on brand building that it takes some time. But many people do not have that much time. So what I'll say to that is that when it comes to storytelling, distribution, all of these things, marketing, those are very major areas in business building that many people, many business owners in Nigeria do not try to take their time to understand. I don't want to go too deep into it, but the point is, what I believe is that in order to solve this, we need a lot more, I won't say business education now, we need a lot more business mentorship. Because there's so many business education programs, but there's not enough business mentorship programs whereby you are imbibed into systems where they're already doing things like this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that detailed explanation from Detail Africa. I want to come to the exporters. So we've heard from the policy, and we heard from the producers. Now let's hear from the exporters. Nigeria has huge export potential. I think this has been a buzzword. Potential has been a buzzword in Nigeria's manufacturing sector. We have so much potential. Everyone can agree with that. And but there seems to be a caveat because the potential is not matching the reality. And now, for context, Nigeria's non-oil exports did rise last year, but critics will argue that it's not rising fast enough compared to our African peers, our continental peers. So I would try to frame this in the simplest way possible. What is the problem?
Thank you very much. We all understand what is happening in Nigeria as regards the business environment. So one of the major challenges that exporters are facing is the finance. Finance, a number of times, has been the big elephant in the room. So it takes a number of plans. So the Nigerian government, we have a number of policies that are yet to be implemented. So, currently, the number of exporters that applied for finance from a number of these export grants, we also have the NEXIM, that is the Nigerian Export Import Bank. So sometimes you are on the application for months, and these contracts that we have, a number of them are time-bound. In the process of applying for facility from NEXIM, you discover that a lot of these opportunities slip away because you are not able to meet up with the time. So that's when you look at the cost of fund in Nigeria, it's very high compared to other African nations and other developing nations. So commercial banks, looking at the interest rate they offer to exporters, normally if you're able to enjoy single digits interest rate, you see the impact this is going to make on the development of exports and the supply chain ecosystem. So it's very important that government looks into finance to be able to bridge the gap. So exporter can take full advantage and be able to compete favorably in the international market. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I understand your grouse with finance, but export competitiveness is not determined solely by production capacity as we've understood. So so where does the role of logistics, where does the role of certification and trade facilitation come in, right? Where is Nigeria losing ground to others? Because as we said, export is happening, but it's not happening fast enough, or it's not happening as much as it could. Yeah. So where is Nigeria losing ground on ground, really? The logistics side of things, the more production side, really.
Okay. Now, security challenge. That's the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is one of the major issues affecting logistics, because if you want to get your product from the farm gate to the factory gate, for you to be able to produce these products and add value before you export, the cost of moving these products from farms to factories, they are quite high. Like someone said earlier in the course of this forum, if we are going to send your product from the port of Nigeria to any port in China, for instance, is far cheaper than moving your products even within Nigeria. So this has to do with infrastructural deficiencies and a number of other factors. So these are hindering the growth and also the ability of Nigerian export ecosystem to be able to compete with other African nations.
Okay, I would like to come back to Nasima. Yeah. Now, what we've heard from him, I believe Nasima has a role in this, right? So what exactly does Nasima, how can Nigerian businesses like the ones we have here, how can they, and in the crowd as well, how can Nigerian businesses associations become more effective? Because one voice is good, but 100 voices at once is better. So how can Nigerian business associations become more effective catalysts for industrial competitiveness and expansion of the export?
Okay, thank you very much. So in Nasima, we basically do what we call advocacy. We advocate for our members to see things that are bothering them, things that are not making them to do their businesses properly. So we have what we call stakeholders engagement. The stakeholders engagement is to bring together different persons in different industries to come together to tell us what is exactly their problem. What should we do? How can we assist? So we have basically what we call these advocacies that we write on behalf of our members as a result of the stakeholders engagement. The minister that just left was in our last stakeholders engagement. She was speaking towards export-oriented goods and services. So in that stakeholders engagement, we found out that majority of our members, they had issues as regards multiple taxation. These did not allow them to be export-oriented. And it's when you are able to address your in-house before you are able to produce, to supply to the outside world. We also do what we call research and development to see how this particular commodity will be able to be fit for the outside world. We'll bring together different stakeholders in a particular sector to be able to see, okay, this is the problem that is arising from your sector. How do we advocate for the well-being of people that are in this sector? So basically, we do what we call stakeholders engagement, which is tilted towards advocacy. And that is also tilted towards addressing the issues of our members from the government aspect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm tempted to ask what Nasima would consider the biggest achievement of advocacy in the past 1 year for its members.
Okay, so there are some things that are not meant to be said out, because when we advocate basically for things that are not yet out there. We get information from the Federal House after their meeting before they enact a particular law. We already have lawyers, members of the parliament that insource information as to what is next in line to be passed. There was a time, I don't know if it was on the news, there was a time there were multiple taxations that they told MTN and some other companies to declare their assets, and not just that they will have a particular benchmark on how much they have to pay to their employees. And they will also vet their income and expenditure account to tell them what to spend and what not to spend. So this was information that were given to us from an aiding source, and we had to write to counter that. There was also a time that the truck drivers, they were complaining about their safety on the road, which you guys may not know about. NASIMA had advocated for their well-being as well. There was also a time whereby we joined NECA to advocate for employees to increase their pays. So these are the little advocacies that we write on behalf of our members in NASIMA for the ease of doing business. Thank you.
All right, we'll come back to you. Detail Africa, you mentioned something the last time you spoke. You talked about, you seem to hammer on quality, right? Quality in ensuring that we're building something sustainable, something that's attractive enough. So I would assume that, or I know that many manufacturers struggle with balancing affordability with quality. So in a price-sensitive market like Nigeria, how can Nigerian businesses or producers and manufacturers compete globally without pricing themselves out in Nigeria, locally?
First of all, I would say we have something that we don't take advantage of enough, which is a very terrible currency. It's interesting that people do not even realize, first of all, that having a terrible currency, so when I mean terrible currency, having a currency that is not as valuable as most that are operating in the international market is good for you, right? There was a time when China devalued their currency on purpose, and the US was fighting them. You know why China did this? So that their goods can be more competitive in the export market. So first of all, we are at an advantage because our currency is devalued. So first of all, we are at an advantage. If you produce something from Nigeria and a counterpart produces in Ghana, your own is very likely to be cheaper. Very, very likely, first of all. So I want people to understand that that is an advantage, is not a disadvantage when it comes to export, right? That is the first thing. Then when it comes to ensuring that you balance quality and affordability, it goes back to understanding the numbers, which takes me back to my other point. I'm a consultant by training, right? So I don't see problems the way most people see problems. So that problem is a problem that many people don't even understand the numbers. They don't understand how to model their financials in a way that they spread this cost over a longer period than a shorter period. So for example, now, let me not go too deep into like accounting, but if some kind of people would spend, let's say, for example, 100 Naira on an asset and they expense that 100 Naira, you're not meant to expense the 100 Naira. You're meant to depreciate it over a 4-year period or a 5-year period, depending on the asset. So that way, in some sense, you're able to reduce your cost over that period of time. So once people understand numbers better, it takes them to what they call the business model conversation. I can be doing the same business as you, but my business model makes me have a gross margin of 70%. Your own gross margin is 30% because of your business model. So it takes me to the point of more people need to take business more as an actual business where you have to understand numbers, bookkeeping, understanding business model, and not just selling. So it's hard to pinpoint this conversation into one point because it goes deeper than just affordability and pricing and all of that. It goes back into understanding your business model. For example, now, let me just give you an example. I am producing a product that is, let me say I am producing chocolate, right?
Sorry, you said?
Chocolate, for example, chocolate. And you are also producing chocolate. Because you are trying to penetrate the consumer market, that's individual consumers, you will spend a lot more for marketing, all of those kind of things. Me, I can say, you know what? I want to be smarter about this. I want to supply chocolate to chefs, to bakers, to people that need chocolates to produce what they're actually producing. You would realize that I would have way more turnover than you. We're in the same business of producing chocolate. I'm just giving that as an example. That understanding business model, understanding what business model works best for you, based on your finances, based on your capacity, based on your objective, all of these things play out when it comes to affordability. Right? So that is one point. Second point is, I know we have hammered on this so many times, but we need a lot more collaboration. The reason why the price of many products in Nigeria are expensive is not just because of, oh, fuel is this amount, diesel is this amount. The business model is inefficient. One of the things that we need to also do a lot more, let me not go there, is collaboration, which is sharing of costs. We have a lot of underutilized and unutilized capacity in Nigerian business environment. And it takes us to the not understanding business. There's no reason why you should have an asset with a 30% utilization rate and you're not leasing it out at some point in time. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Hold
So you have an asset with a 30% utilization rate, and that is increasing your cost, but you don't know. But if you understood business and business model and all of these things, you can lease out that asset, get some income from there, and that, at the end of the day, averages your cost down. So these are conversations for me around business model. Understanding how to share cost, how to minimize cost, how to do all of these things, right? So it would not be enough time if I have to talk about all these things
we
here.
totally understand. So it's important that we create. I remember from the partner session we had the last time, and then I believe it was one of the speakers mentioned tailoring, right? Tailoring the policies to the Nigerian environment that don't copy and paste. I think that was what she said. She said, don't copy and paste. And it speaks to what you're saying as well, that business models could be different based on who you're targeting, right? So I think I get that from what you're saying.
And just even add to what you said now, and also business is not vanity, right? You don't have to be consumer facing. You can be the person that supplies to the consumer facing business, and guess what? You might be making way more money than that person. So there's a lot of, I'll just summarize it into more efficient business model. There's a reason why, for example, Jeff Bezos can price his services a certain way, because they have spread the costs in a way that allows them to price that way. And the only way they're able to do this is to understand the business model that they're working with and to optimize that business model. Right? I can go deeper into this, but we don't have enough time.
All right, then we'll come back to you then. I think you've been feeling left out, so I won't come back to you. Let's talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area and African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Right? It's a very important initiative, and it's good. We can all agree with that. But in a situation where several African countries are competing for the attention of several buyers across 56 countries, then there seems to be some form of expectation, right? So what sectors in Nigeria do you think are genuinely positioned to dominate regionally if we are to take it seriously? And where are we most vulnerable?
Thank you very much. The petroleum sector has big potential. Looking at, we have close to 1,600 products that can be derived from the petroleum byproducts, so which we can take advantage. Dangote Refinery has provided a big opportunity as a hub to get these products. So, you know, we have positioned ourselves. Nigeria has the potential, looking at all the enormous resources available to us. So the petroleum sector is a big, could be a big cash cow in getting a lot of opportunity from the AFCFTA.
Do you think there are more?
Yeah, we have the non-oil sector, which ANE is more particular about. We are encouraging a lot of exporters to look at how to harness the different potentials, different opportunity that we can take advantage of, and to be able to get the large market share in the FTA opportunity.
You mentioned the exporters now, and I think in the previous answer you talked about export financing.
Yeah.
And I think you also mentioned how it was a difficulty getting funds from the financing banks.
Yeah.
So what are exporters doing, or what should they be doing? What are some of the what you consider innovative financing models that you think they should adopt or consider exploring to, should I say, hedge against this problem?
You know, a lot of financial institutions want you to have a very strong finance, like accounting structure that can give them the, you know, the confidence, and also they want to be sure you have your skin in the game, because when the finance institution wants to give you a facility, they will also want you to be involved. They want you to have a stake in whatever they are giving you. So exporters need to position themselves to be able to prove to financial institutions that they are capable of delivering, because they also want results. So when they give you finance, they want to be safe, kind of. So exporters need to look at how they can structure the models that will provide that, you know, confidence in this financial institution.
If I was an exporter and I said, I'm tired of going to financial institutions and them sending me away, where else can I get money?
Anyway, you know, we have so many financial institutions, not commercial, you know, sector, so that can give finance. But what is the capacity they have? Yeah, like SMEs, export business is capital intensive. So a number of times when you go to a number of them, they can only give you based on what they have. So it's we are also advocating for the federal government to empower the NEXIM to be able to have the capital base. You know, in recent time, the commercial institutions were mandated to increase the capital base. So it's very surprising that the government is not talking about increasing the capital base of NEXIM, which, if the government really want to increase the potential of non-oil exports in Nigeria, so it's just to empower NEXIM to be able to, you know, give back to the exporters that need funding, because NEXIM rate is far cheaper than the commercial rate. So if the NEXIM is well positioned, then exporter can take advantage and you know, apply to NEXIM instead of commercial banks.
Those interest rates are way high. Yeah. Well, I hope the exporters and manufacturers who are hoping to export are seated here, so they have gotten that insightful tip. I'll come back to Nasima, and I think this will be one of my last questions for you. We just talked about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and how should Nigerian manufacturers be thinking about it? Because it's a huge agreement. It's a huge deal. that could become intimidating, especially when people think about the competition they are going to face. So how should they be thinking? How should manufacturers be thinking, right? How do they ensure that the export infrastructure in Nigeria now, the export infrastructure and the industrial incentives are available to them to motivate them and encourage them to go for such an opportunity?
Okay, the basic point there is to actually invest in technology. If there is a way they can share cost in investing in technology, as my brother said, sharing cost. So it's not basically for the manufacturer to actually say he or she wants to solely invest in this technology. You can pull yourself together, a pool of fund. You are producing almost the same thing. You guys can invest in this particular technology to reduce the cost of production. So you are into back production. If he has another friend or is a co-producer in the same line of business, and they are to import, what do you call it now, materials from China, you can come together and pay for that particular goods and share the cost when the goods arrive. So basically, for Nigerian to have its full potential in this AFTFTA is to invest more in technology, invest more in rebranding, in packaging, in certifying their goods are competitive enough for the international market. If on the long run, the goods is not certified enough for international markets, they will not have sales. People will divert to other commodities that are certified enough for international markets. So Nigerians should be ready to invest in technology, because if you want to produce for the outside world, you have to first meet your inner capabilities first. You have to first produce for Nigerians to be able to consume. When Nigerians see that the product you're producing, the bags you're selling are of high quality, they will be able to refer that to their friends abroad. And from there, you will have exporters that will be willing to export your product at a very good, affordable price.
On the topic, just final question now for Detail Africa. On the topic of re-engineering thinking, right? What mindset shifts do policymakers, do entrepreneurs, do investors need to have to move Nigeria from this is more of a technical or rather of a mind thing rather than a technical thing, but it could also translate. So what do they need to think about to move from that import dependency to self-sufficiency and also to produce more? What do we need to be thinking about that we are not currently doing?
Okay, so for me, what I'll say to this is, first of all, let's even leave policy. Let's talk about human. There's a reason why we need to, first of all, use our own. There's a reason why I'm extremely pro-African, pro-Nigerian, pro-African. At every given time, let me even start from what I'm wearing. At every given time, I'm probably wearing at least 80% Nigerian. Apart from the phone I'm holding right now, every other thing on me is a Nigerian brand. And if a Nigerian brand was to make a phone as good as the iPhone, I will use that Nigerian brand. I don't have to wait for policy. I think we wait for policy too much, such that we don't even understand that we, first of all, need to use our own, right? There's a reason why Asians are very bullish on that. You would hardly see them use Western technology, do you know what I'm saying? There's a reason, right? We have to start from there ourselves. If everybody here says, you know what, I want to consciously, intentionally use Nigerian, you will see the change that will make. Because we talk about want to grow Nigeria, want to da-da-da-da-da. and everything we're wearing is foreign. Put your money where your mouth is. So start from what you're wearing, what you're using. At our store in Lekki Phase 1, when you come to the store, you would think it was designed by some Western interior designer. Everything was made here. All the things that we have that are not our brand in the store, let's say we partner with this person to stock, I was very bullish on it has to be an African brand, right? We must come into that mentality of promoting our own. It even goes beyond, because, you know, it's very cultural.
1 minute, sir.
Yes, it's fine. It's very cultural. Even to the movies, right? There's a reason why when you watch an American movie, they're almost always using a Chevrolet or a Ford. Those are American companies. Sometimes they use foreign cars. There's a reason why you have to be intentional about using and promoting your own first before you even talk about policy, right? Because policy basically kind of like forces you to do it, but you must want and like it first of all. Then going now to the quality of things, right? Because I mean, obviously, you would want to use what is of good quality, right? So it is a, what's the word now? In order to build those people or to build the brands that will make the quality, you have to give them a chance.
Value exchange.
Yes, you have to give them a chance. Italian brands were not just Italian brands overnight. The consumers give them a chance. You have to consciously say, you know what, even if yes, they might not be the best right now, I'll use them. You use them, he sees me, oh, this is nice, he uses it. He sees him, oh, it's nice, he uses it. No amount of policy can create that value that we've just created by using it.
Well, that brings us to the end of our second panel on building manufacturing value chains that employ, export, and compete globally. We've heard from Nasima, we've heard from a manufacturer, a local manufacturer, Detail African, we've heard from the American exporters in Nigeria. And when we've heard a couple of things. Alternative sources of funds, rather than commercial banks that offer interest rates above 26%, we can explore the financing options. We heard from Detail Africa about hiring locally, buying locally, investing locally, and it also speaks to what Nasima said about first understanding what we have, and then who can get it within, and then that building that confidence to take it outside. I would like us to give a round of applause to my amazing panel that has been here. I'm sure we have very, very amazing ideas from the section that has been, from what I've said today, that we're going to also implement in our various businesses. Please, can we stand are we taking pictures? All right. Please stand. I don't know. I'm sorry, we do not have any time for questions. But on this topic of discussions, if you liked what we have talked about today, we at Business Day, we have a premium site where we speak to the policymakers and the stakeholders, and then we get their insights and we translate that into stories, into reports that bring insight into the industry. So if you visit our premium site, you can also get the bulk of all that has been discussed here today. Thank you very much. All right, a round of applause for them once more.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
A very big thank you to our panelists and our moderator for this panel, for doing justice to that conversation. I must say it was a very enriching one. If we're not too tired, we would have given time for like 1 or 2 questions, but I believe everyone wants to head out now. We have other things to do, but thank you all for being an amazing audience, for being a part of this conference. We do hope it's been worth your time, your energy. Thank you for being out for the Business Day Manufacturing Conference 2026. We do hope to see you at Business Day Manufacturing Conference for 2027. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Thank you so much for